This is CNC World, a new perspective.
1 year ago, Hurricane Sandy made landfall in New Jersey and New York, destroying coastal communities and causing tens of billions of dollars in damage. Wall Street remained closed for 2 days, and parts of Manhattan lost power for over a week. Now, on the first anniversary of the storm, Columbia University scientists warn that New York City remains highly vulnerable to hurricanes.
Many residents along the shoreline of New York and New Jersey have still not fully recovered from the devastation left by Hurricane Sandy. It took several weeks, in some areas even months, to restore power and rebuild flooded homes. Many residents are still awaiting insurance and governmental aid payments. While day-to-day life in New York has returned back to normal, Columbia University scientists warn that the island of Manhattan and its surrounding areas are still highly vulnerable to future hurricanes.
The city is as vulnerable as it was before. Why? Because we really haven't done any engineered changes. Maybe we are a little bit better prepared, but still is vulnerable.
While the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is working on a $40 million project to rebuild beaches in parts of Queens and Brooklyn, U.S. government funds are also paying for boardwalk reconstruction efforts along the New York and New Jersey shoreline. However, much more needs to be done to make New York more resilient against future storms.
There have been a few houses raised along the coastline, but and there have been a few sand dunes restored, but I say restored, which means it brings us back to practically where we were before the storm. But when you look at the infrastructure, particularly the transportation system, the subway and so on, no engineering measures have been put in place since. That is not surprising, because engineering projects take a long time first to design, then get them through the whole process, and then implementing them.
New York City is planning to build temporary storm walls along parts of the island of Manhattan. However, making the subway and tunnels flood-proof will be a several billion-dollar investment and take 5 to 10 years if the funds are even made available by local and federal governments.
It gets more tricky when you come to neighborhoods like in Staten Island on the Rockaways, where you have to make decisions. Should you raise entire neighborhoods? Should you put levees around them? Or should you buy out the neighborhood? Any and all of those options are on the table right now, but they are being worked out.
Columbia University scientists had warned city officials already years before Hurricane Sandy against the potentially devastating impact of a hurricane making landfall over the city. They hope that their recommendations are at least heard now.
We told in a report 2 years before Sandy that this is exactly what will happen. So nobody can say they didn't know. Nobody wanted to know. But the information was out, and we tried to make sure that that information gets to the right people. It even got to the right people, but they shoved it aside. And if we do that and continue to do that, our economic situation will be impacted by these kind of events that are in part regular weather, but in part also due to climate change and sea level rise. If we don't address those issues, we will have severe economic impacts and setbacks.
Hurricane Sandy was, with a diameter of roughly 1,100 miles, the largest Atlantic storm on record. A 2013 analysis by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York estimates that the storm caused a loss of physical capital worth $75 billion, which makes it the second worst storm after Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
This is CNC World, a new perspective.